goodness sake. Oh, for goodness sake. I thought I got it perfect tonight, and then I forgot to
No, but never mind. Hey ho.
No. One of those days, folks.
Such is life.
One of those days, folks. I am completely out. I'm massively out of sorts tonight, but never mind. Never mind. We're going to be.
How many copyright strikes are you going for tonight?
Yeah, well, none, because it's original material. So as it has,
they don't care about that.
For those wondering what this is all about, is that from about Wednesday onwards, I was having a running battle because FIFA World Cup 2022 decided to put a copyright strike on one of my channels and said, well, you're using music owned by FIFA World Cup 2022. And I went, no, that's actually my own recording. Go away. And yeah, they released the claim in the end. But goodness me, it's just algorithms talking to algorithms now.
Well, it is. And if you saw the Rick Beato thing about this, it's not just that, but the people overseeing these are basically interns in a little office somewhere who make money based on how many of these they process, not how they finish, not how they are resolved, just on how many they manage to get through the door. So they're just banging them out every day, left, right, and centre, and they don't really care. The algorithm says it's wrong; they go with it.
Anyway, everybody, welcome to JM has another whinge about. You are?
They're here already.
Well, that's all right. They're gone. Just as suddenly as they came to me. Powell Krufovich says, is it just me or the beginning of that tune is a bit creepy? Powell, it's massively creepy. Trust me. That's the point.
It's spectacularly creepy. And John does it largely to annoy me because he knows how creeped out I am by it, and yet rejects my suggestions that we should put Camembert Electrique on the front at some point.
No, because then we would get hit with a copyright strike. So
yeah, see, that's a poor excuse. You're just using excuses.
No. Right, to explain to Jim, not Jim, to explain to Powell. Well, that's actually it was a piece of music called the A Christmas Symphony by a English composer called Victor Hewley Hutchins, and he did it's like a suite of Christmas songs, but he did them in kind of like slightly unnerving kind of arrangements, and that was used by the BBC for their 1984 adaptation of John Masefield's The Box of Delights, which I'm a big fan of. And yeah, pretty much scarred a generation, that did, because it was just, if you've never seen the opening titles are even more creepy than the music. It's genuinely disturbing. That was back in the day when we used to make programs that would just kind of like traumatize kids, really, you know. Before we decided
we turned out all right.
I wouldn't say that. Anyway, right. What we've been on 7 minutes. We haven't mentioned any modelling yet at the moment. So hello.
No. I think people are going to have to accept that tonight they're going to have to be involved.
Yeah, tonight, folks. You have got to lob your suggestions at us, and we'll field your questions, your suggestions. We might dig out a magazine and have a magazine to look at and go through that and whatever. So we're open to all your suggestions tonight, because it's
very much a two-way, and both of us are at low energy levels. I've been asleep most of the afternoon because I haven't been feeling wonderful. Okay, I'm not ill, but just not feeling great. And you're still decidedly under the weather, aren't you?
So, it's awful. It really is. It's
so
not...
neither of us are bringing much energy to the proceedings tonight, I'm afraid. So it's over to you guys.
I hate to keep kind of like whinging on about this, but it's not a case of I feel ill, you know, mop my brow with a sponge or something. It's just I'm trying to get on with things. I'm trying to get on with so many things, and I just find myself just grinding to a halt. And it's not so much physically; it's up here as well. I can't go through the thought process. Anyway, look, we're not going to sit here and have a whinge about it. So right.
In answer to Jim Altergott, yes, Jim, the postal strikes are still going on in the UK.
Yes, they are. And in fact, I've got to try and find out when the last posting dates are for this year. I get the feeling for internal mail, I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, Honestly, I really don't know. I haven't really paid much attention, if I'm blunt. But yeah, it's all a bit up in the air this year with
Things.
strike actions going on. Like our winter of discontent, 43 years on.
Yeah. Would you like a booster seat, Drew, or are you all right down there?
I'm all right. I'm leaning back, John, rather than
Fine. Okay.
I can go like that. But there you go.
That's right. Sean Smith says, can I join your club? I went to bed 8 p.m. last night and woke up at 1 p.m. today. Yeah, you can join our club.
Good work. Good work.
Right, Paul Cove. Here we are. Actual modelling question. Here we're dragging it back onto.
That's outrageous.
I know. Where are we? Here we are. Paul Cave says, quick question, Scotch-Brite, what colour, what type?
I'll use the grey. I use the fine grey stuff. Although I've got the green here as well. So the green or the grey, but I tend to go for the grey because it's a finer, and I get lots of it very free, shall we say.
I use the stuff I use is called Merlon or Mylon, and oh god, tries to get his drawers open. Misses. I haven't actually got any in here, but you can get it in two grades. You can get it in kind of like a grey, and I think it's a red or whatever, but one's slightly coarser than the other, but it's the same stuff. It's just like Scotch-Brite. But
yeah, grey tends to be the fine stuff. So I tend to stick with the grey because it does plenty good enough for what I need.
It's good stuff.
It's very useful for that final polishing, cleanup, and clearing swarf and stuff, and dust out of panel detail and things like that. So, but honestly, if it's a choice between the green and the grey, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. The red stuff is pretty coarse, and I would probably not use that. But
I don't know. I like the red stuff, but it's good. It's good for some jobs. So. Yeah,
but there you go. Right. That's our. But yeah, Scotch-Brite is a well, as a machinist by trade, our two go-tos are Loctite and Scotch-Brite.
Yeah.
So
right. I'm just going to go and answer this question here, which was here we go. Captain Magenta. Boom, 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 boom. He says, earlier this year, you two were looking at a company that makes resin figures, civilian and military, in multiple scales, including model railways.
Oh, that local one for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, can you remember who they are? Yes, I can. I can remember who they are, but I have forgotten what the name is. So somebody's going to come along and jog my memory in a second. Let's have a quick look. Because funny thing is, I do want to put an order with them to get some. I think they were Model U. There we go. So it's a company called Model U, and I'm just going to bring up the website address here. Bear with.
They're a local company for local people, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. Nick Brown says Model U. There we go. There's the website address. It's www.modelu3d.co.uk, and I'm just going to call up their website at the moment. So bear with, because this involves technical stuff, and I haven't got my technical brain on tonight. So present, share screen. Here we go. Window. Oh lordy, I don't want that. There we go. Model U. There we go. So that's their website and whatever. Shut the chat thing down for them. And they're doing an advent calendar, lol. But they've got there's all kinds of stuff they're doing. Quite how they managed to 3D scan some sheep, I don't know, but we'll have a look. We'll have a look at that. But yeah, they do figures. They do. We can see this, can't we? Yeah, they do. Trackside figures. They do kind of what do you call them? Drivers. It's a thing. Trades and surfaces. They go town and country. pendant. They do detail bits and pieces. Then this is the bit that will interest you, good folk. They do military 46 products, and I think they probably run them off to order to the scale that you want, because they do them in.
They're just they're models, aren't they? They're 3D models, and they.
Yeah. So to call up the let's just call up the figures here. There we go. So there we go. It says from 450, but that's like the 76 scale ones. But they do fab. I mean, they really do look quite fabulous. I know some people have said that they worry about, they wonder rather about the definition of the castings, but I don't know. I think sometimes things can be a little bit too over-defined. I think when you see them painted up, they look absolutely brilliant. It's just
I mean, I think it's one of these things where you sometimes need to exaggerate things to make them work in scale. There's it's one of the biggest sort of things, shall we say, or one of the biggest things you need to learn about 3D printing is that you need to adjust things. Scale wall thicknesses don't work.
No. There you go. I like him. He looks pretty cool. So I'm going to order a figure. I don't know which one yet, but I'm going to order a figure. They also do some World War One British figures as well. I've got some World War II British figures. There we go. British officer pointing. What's changed? Yeah, well, I mean, I think these, when you see the painted up ones, they do look the business. So, and some of the World War One figures do look rather jolly spiffing. So there you go, Royal Engineers. It's bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Sapper leaning. So I think we're gonna go for one, frankly, and then we'll report back on it in the new year. But yeah, they're called Model U, and the website address is modelu3d.co.uk. And if you want to contact them, you can contact them at info@modelu3d.co.uk. And they're based on, go away messenger thing. They're based in Unit 21C, Eastern Business Centre, Felix Road, Bristol, BS5 0HE. So that's not far off the city centre, quite frankly. But there we go. That was a new company to us this year. They've been around for a while, but Model U, there we go. So yes. I hope that's answered your question. And Jim Altergott's got a question for Drew. He says, Drew, what is your favorite armored model subject that you have on your shelf now?
I'm a hopeless Leopard 2 fanboy, so I build Leopard 2s a lot. I just think it's a fantastic vehicle. I mean, of the two, the most recent ones I've really been building is Chieftains and Leopard 2s. So yeah, Chieftains and Leopard 2s are my thing. So I've got a Meng one half, I had a Meng Chieftain half built. I've built a Leopard 2 this year. I don't build a huge amount of armor. I dip in and out of it, but generally it's going to be modern, and it's going to be a Leopard or a Chieftain variant. And hopefully the Sergeant York is very nearly here from Tacom, which I will have some fun with. But yeah, Leopard 2s, mate. Leopard 2s are where it's at for me. Always have been. So.
Right, James Ray, he's got a question. He says, how are the smaller aftermarket manufacturers bearing up with difficulties caused by export to Europe? Now we have to pay lumps of cash to our own country's customs and excise. Do you want to put your hand into that can of worms, Drew?
Yeah. How are smaller aftermarket manufacturers bearing up? As far as I can tell, and this is working both ways from Europe to here and here to Europe, largely they're not. They're basically, they're just, and this is going across, I'm not just talking about modeling here, small companies in general, whatever they've previously exported or imported to or from Europe, basically they've just stopped. Now it tends to be a case of you have to go directly to the manufacturer and hope they will export to you. And this is this is not Brexit related directly. This is more to do with the change in tax rules and stuff over the last couple of years, because even the VAT rules changed, and you've got companies like Caracal Decals in the States, who I would previously have ordered a lot of stuff from frequently. Now they just won't do it. Now you have to wait for Hannants to get, the Caracal Decals in and order through Hannants, because you can't get them direct from the manufacturer anymore. So they're not, basically. Some are, some aren't. Some are forming kind of, it seems like some of the bigger, not bigger, but some of the other industries are kind of forming collectives almost to be able to deal and afford the paperwork. Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember we've got business. We've got people in the business here, like Mike Reeves there, saying his business has been thriving. How are sales? How easy is it to post to the UK and Europe, Mike? Or are you going through distributors? I mean, I get the impression that some companies have just looked at the issues and gone, this isn't worth it for the amount we actually export, and gone, it's not worth the energy, so we're not going to do it, which is a terrible shame. But it's been coming down the pike for a very long time with the way that the world became very small in terms of trade, but nobody had any kind of regime in place for collecting taxes on that sort of thing. So when they did decide to bring these tax regimes in, they kind of used the proverbial sledgehammer to do it.
George Ross has a question. He says, "Hi guys, I'm looking for some ideas, figures for the 135th scale ambulance, i.e. nurses, mechanics, etc. Any ideas? Can you help? Love the Sunday show, as always."
We refer you back to our previous.
Well,
I mean, Model U look like they're going to do stuff that fit that perfectly, aren't they?
Yeah, Model U probably a good place to start, but failing that,
Reed Oak.
You what?
Reed Oak.
Reed Oak, yeah, Reed Oak as well. Yeah, try them. I would also, I'm sure people here tonight will say, "Oh, well, there's so and so does these figures, and some so and so does these figures." So, if people have got ideas, post them up on the post them up on our timeline, or post them in the comments.
And also look around at other stuff like what's the German manufacturer that does the injected plastic ones?
Oh, Priza.
Priza. Yeah, don't forget to look at stuff like Priza and check the especially check the railway shops and stuff. See what they've got.
Yeah. Yeah, Priza do some very nice military figures. So yeah, we'll have a look into that for you. Alan Richardson says, "Gents," well, he obviously hasn't met us. He says, "Gents, question on Ghost Grey." Oh, this is one for Drew. This, he says, "I have the Tamiya LP offerings, which are very blue compared to the AK real color versions, which are more grey. Not sure which route to take."
Honestly, if you're painting in isolation, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. It's when you compare them together that you see massive differences. I used the AK ones on the Growler I finished last week, and I liked those shades. I also really like. Oh, excuse me. I also really like the Mister Color shades. And yes, as the LP colors are basically just the aerosols in a bottle form.
I beg your pardon.
Well, they are, aren't they? They're just the aerosol. I have always found their light and dark Ghost Grey, or whatever, however they happen to call it. Yeah, a little bit cold, a little bit on the blue side, maybe. But like I say, in isolation, it's not really a huge issue once you've added washers and stuff. So they wouldn't be my first choice. Let's put it that way.
Right, here we go. Have a look at these. I've just found these Priza figures. These are pretty cool, actually. And these are share screen. Come on, brain, do your thing. Here we go. These are kind of like civilians, but they are pretty good. I like them.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. All you always need to check out, the old stalwarts are the old stalwarts for a reason.
Mm.
And that tends to be because they are, they do good stuff. And remember, you're getting multiple figures in a pack there, so you're not, there's a value, a value thing to be borne in mind there. Or albeit these will largely be sort of more European than British.
Also, it says post-war figures. Trying to work that out because it looks like there might be a couple of Wehrmacht soldiers there. Perhaps they're demobbed. I don't know what the story is there, but they look good.
Demobbed, going home, wearing their old uniforms because it's winter and it's cold, whatever. But yeah.
I'm just going to have a look at other people.
See, nine unpainted miniature figure kits for figures for 20 less than 21 euros. That's a pretty good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm going to open up a can of worms here because Priza do some interesting figures, which we're not going to go anywhere near tonight. But passengers, there we go. Oh, there we go. Now the website's decided to play ball. 35th. Here we go. Let's just scroll down. 35th groups, other people. Okay, groups, other people. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. Women digging in ruins. So that's a stellar set. That is. Good Lord.
What's painted set look like? Well, they look like painted.
Well, I think that all depends.
Oh right. Oh, okay.
I think that's they still look.
No, I thought they were painted. I thought that picture in looking at it small looked like it was actually painted models.
Yeah.
That was all. Not graphics. I mean, James Ray said Priza are not that good, but are they good enough for what somebody wants? That's the,
I would say that you're not getting the same quality as a resin armor figure, but I think they.
But you're paying 20 euros for 9 figures rather than
exactly.
There's always compromises all through with these sorts of things. 9 Reed Oak figures are going to cost you 200 euros, not 20.
Yeah. So I've just gone onto their website and they do lots of they do 32nd scale. Now I would argue that if you're you could say that civilians, you're not really going to worry about the difference between 35th and 32nd.
A 6 foot bloke in 35th scale is going to look like a 5 foot 8 bloke in 32nd.
Yeah. So yeah, it's worth having a look at the Priza range because they do a lot of civilian stuff.
And they do some 144th scale stuff as well, which is really quite impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's loads of options out there. It just depends on your budget and what you're looking for, in a final product. Plenty of people aren't going for absolute maximum detail every time.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look. I mean, again, the Priza range. I'm just looking at it here, but the Priza range, some of the ones they do, I'm just looking at this one here, which is railway workers, 1939 to 45. So obviously these will be European, but let me just bring that up on screen. But again, they look all right, he says. Oh my God, my hands are so slow tonight. There we go. The thing is I know some people say, well, the detail sometimes can be a little bit soft or hit and miss, but anatomically, they look really good. I like the proportions. I like the poses and everything. They look. We'll just call up that. See if we can call that up. Oh, come on. Yeah, I don't think there's. They're not gonna match the crispness of some resin figures, but I don't know. They're not terrible. Let's put it that way.
No, I think that, like I say, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. There we go.
Different things are going to suit different people.
I mean, bear in mind also that you're paying there for a pack of 6 figures what you'd be paying for one scanned figure in the same scale. So anyway, there you go, folks. So have a look at the Priza. Have a look at the Priza range as well. And George Ross also says, further to that, I am looking for some figures as firefighters for the 35th scale Chernobyl fire engine. I think, don't ICM do Chernobyl firefighters?
Yeah, didn't they release 3 or 4 different sets?
I think they did.
I think they released 3 or 4 different, like straight on the back of the series.
Yeah.
Bless the Ukrainians; they're never slow to pick up on a marketing opportunity. Bless them.
No, I'm just looking at.
I'm sure that they did 3 or 4 different Chernobyl sets.
Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, they did. Well, these came with the AC40 fire truck, but they have done some figures certainly. So worth having a look at the ICM website to see what they have got, because you can download the instruction sheets and everything. So, and again, the website for that is. It's www. Well, it's not www, but it's ICM. Yeah, ICM.com.ua. Yeah, Tim Maunder says they also do nude figures. I trust him to notice that.
Yes, really, Tim. Really,
Tim. Really. Yeah. Well done. Tee hee hee. Titter titter titter. And so just kind of doing a comment here, and it is John Conley says, hello guys, Airfix is going 135th. Is that a thing? They have they have done it. Andy King says the Airfix 135th scale range is from Academy. Some of the new tool stuff has been tooled for Airfix by Academy, I think, but they've also polybagged a number of Academy kits. They've also polybagged some of the Thunder kits as well. But yeah, they are trying to.
I honestly can't think of a better company to have doing your tooling for you in 35th than Academy. Academy stuff is just, world class now, absolutely world class. So
and also it's all well priced as well.
Yes,
Let's have another quick flick down the let's have a look. Sean Smith says, I'm building the Meng Chieftain, finding it easy, to be honest.
I've got one half built, and it's not a terribly difficult build at all. It's all these things these days, when they're at the leading edge of the technologies, builds tend to be pretty stress free, don't they? Builds tend to be pretty stress free.
James Ray says, check out the Reconquista figures for the best of 3D printing. Okay. Let's just we'll look that up right now. Actually, Reconquista. I like having a show where it's all on the fly and it suddenly goes off.
Yeah, it's all over to you. We're just responding to you this week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So people say that wasn't a very good show on Sunday. We go, well, it's your fault.
We go, yeah, it's nothing to do with us. We were just we were the compares. You made the show.
Yeah. Reconquista rather. They appear to be an Australian company, or they're available on Etsy Australia. But yeah, I can see what you mean. They really are. I'm just calling up some. yeah, good lord, they are quite spectacular. Here we go. Present, share screen. Dun da da. Recordista. There we go. That looks. Oh, there we go. That does look pretty darn cool, actually. Yeah, oof, like
Lord,
that. You know, sorry.
Good lord, that's nice,
Isn't it? Just, I can hear the sounds of Drew thinking, "Oh, he's going to paint some."
Oh
some
Lord,
figures
no! I watch. I look at the people who paint these things and go, no, that is so far beyond my abilities.
That does look rather nice. I mean, I think that's 15/28 millimeters, but they do figures in other scales. But yeah,
Again, though, that'll be printable in a bigger scale, because most of these things are being done on low end commercial stroke high end hobby printers these days.
Sorry,
So
slight mistake there. That's a company called Reconquer Designs, not Reconquista. So I think I've pulled up the wrong company there, but never mind.
we don't
sure
care.
we'll
They're nice anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
they're
we
nice
discovered
anyways.
another company. Just
yeah, whoopsie, or it could be the same company. I'm just having a look here. Perhaps it is the same company. But yeah, whoever Reconquer Designs are, I'm just looking at some of the stuff they do here, and they do some absolutely stunning figures. So yeah, that's worth looking at. Reconquer. Oh, it's Reconquista. Sorry. Yeah, it is the same company apparently. So
all right. Okay.
look it up, folks, and see what you can find. I'm just seeing what else we've got here. Simon Lewis says Model U can literally make you 3-minute body scan. Wish they would. Probably be an improvement on this one.
Yeah,
Probably less things falling apart.
Can they modify me?
Yeah, can they modify me? Can they?
What would you like to be 19 again?
Wow. Frankly, I'd like to be 55 from the beginning of this year before I got blooming COVID. So, anyway, let's have another. Let's go quick.
F-35 Tamiya from Paddy's Model World, £9 million. I don't. I think that's a little bit.
What's that? What's that?
Paddy's Model World. F-35 Tamiya, £9 million. No. I think you've got a comma in the wrong place, Paddy.
Yeah, it's. I've been looking at the Tamiya F-35, looking at some builds and things, and it does look quite spectacular. And with a little bit of luck, your copy, not you viewers, his copy will be winging its way very, very soon.
I do have to clarify that I commented on the price the other day, and I wasn't complaining about the price. To be clear, I was just surprised because I had been. I'm sure I heard somewhere that it was a different price to what it eventually turned out to be, and I was like, "Oh, that's a surprise." But I wasn't. I'm not in. I'm not saying embargo it or anything. I'm just boycott it or anything. I'm just saying it took me by surprise, the price, because I thought it was going to be a different price. That's all. And according to our insiders in the business, it's flying off the shelves. So clearly, the price is not an issue. There you go.
And Jim Alcott says military figures from the era of edge weapons are truly awesome to behold when painted. Yeah, Powell's saying, but that's Reconquer. Is it the same? Well, I've just been onto the website and it was coming up as that company. So if I've got it wrong, I've got it wrong. I don't know either company, so I've probably made a complete.
But it's quite amusing that you might have put in the wrong thing and still brought up a hobby company that does.
No,
so
all right. We'll have another run up at that. Actually, let's have a look. It's Reconquista, wasn't it? Because I'm trying to find some places that actually sell the stuff. The only thing I've got is an Etsy page. So if anybody's got links, give us a link and we'll put it up and we'll talk about it on screen. But no, I can't find any any kind of links for them.
No, James is saying same company. It was just his autocorrect.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Artie Mod's question there. Yeah.
On what does he say?
How do you, JM and Drew? How do you keep your workshops free of fur and dust with Derp and Fred popping in and out? Well, you don't. It's just a battle. It's just a fight all the time.
You speak for yourself, matey. I've got on the side here, because I do this literally every time I'm going to do work in the workshop, is I spray the work top down with some spray bleach and then just give it a really good thing. So yeah, I do try and keep it as dust free as possible.
It's just a case of dusting, giving it a wipe over when I'm going to be doing some painting, really. But the workbench gets cleaned off 3 or 4 times a week anyway as I go along. So it doesn't.
As I say, mine does as well. It's kind of every time I sit down, I do a bit of work. I go to do a bit of work on it, so I will give it a quick wipe with something or other. So yeah,
it's no exaggeration to say, that's my workbench at the moment, and that's how it will be when I start modelling. So I'm. An hour ago it looked a bit more cluttered because I've been building models today, and there was a few pots of paint and stuff lying around, but I clean it all up before I go back for another modeling session.
I see my white balance has gone out the window again. Oh, never mind.
Mine's not too bad.
No, mine periodically goes a bit wobbly like this. So, but I'm not going to worry about it tonight because, quite frankly, I'm not doing anything on the camera. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, the cameras are set up, but we're not really using them.
No, sorry. It's George Ross says, thanks for the info on the firefight figures. Yeah, that's all right. It's yeah, I mean, ICM do them. So let's have a look. James Ray says printed. This is Recon that company.
Reconquer.
Yeah, Reconquer. He says printed. They work out about €8 for a mounted figure in 28mm. So, excuse me. Which I think is a good price. Right. Let's have that. Actually, we will have a chat about projects and things, because how far have I got with the ambulance? This poor ambulance. I mean, you talk about ambulance waiting times, but this is ridiculous. I've actually got some. I did this on Wednesday. Where my brain is at the moment. So we've got the interior's pretty much done now. We've got the interior panels are done. So I'm hoping to kind of get on and do some detail painting and start to wrap this thing up. I mean, it's been this far from being completed now for a few weeks, and I'm sure some of the guys at Airfix are watching this thinking, God, just finish the damn thing for crying out loud. So yeah, we will get around to finishing it. It's, again, without making excuses, but it's an excuse, is unfortunately one of the kind of the side effects of this kind of COVID stuff is just trying to get my brain and my hands to kind of coordinate to sit down and concentrate and do some modeling. It's really quite a struggle. It's a miracle I'm able to do the ghost stories, but that's because that involves alcohol. So but yeah, it's really kind of like, it's not fun. It really isn't. And I tell you what, work, I mean, I've just finished a work project tonight, which I can't talk about, but I finished a work project tonight. But goodness me, something that would have taken me, a final kind of run through that would have taken me about 15, 20 minutes. It took me about 3 hours. It's not fun. It's really hard work to try and get your brain into it. So, right, okay. Steve Moores said, "Oh, this is right. Horror story time here." Steve Moores says, "If you want a cardiac, I've just sent you a bench as it is now." Right, stand by, everybody. This is going to be a public safety warning from Steve, because mind you, didn't you, Drew? Didn't you have a picture of your workbench published in Ron Firth's magazine back in the 90s? You did, didn't you?
Did I? I think
Yeah.
I might have done.
Yeah. I remember thinking, God, that looks horrible. No offense.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Probably did. I've changed.
Have you?
Well, as a young person, my model bench could be a bit of a disaster area. As an older person, well, let's see his.
Right. Well, stand by, because this is, oh my goodness me. I mean,
Just show it.
I'm trying to get my brain into gear. Have your bath bag standing by, because yeah. Honestly, I think this is more a case of oh my goodness me.
Yeah,
right.
no. Having said that, that's messy,
That's
but
not the
not dirty.
worst.
That's messy, but not dirty.
No,
That's the thing there. So,
no.
whilst I would have notes out of that, several modelling sessions ago, that at least is not, there's not an overflowing ashtray inside.
I was just going to say, the overflowing ashtray. I mean, that's just gross at the best of times. But oh my goodness me! No, to be honest with Steve, that is nothing that could.
That's a 15-minute cleanup. And
I was just saying, nothing can be solved in 5 minutes.
If you move the book and that box at the side there, you've cleared about 80% of that.
Well, the thing is, Steve's actually got everything rather nicely organised. So actually, he's got his little tray of tools there. He's got, some of them have migrated onto the cutting mat, but that happens to all of us. But everything else that's pretty organised. So
yeah, I wouldn't say it's not. It's not. Let's I don't think mine gets that stage anymore. But generally, at the end of a session, yeah, it's 5 or 10 minutes going around cleaning everything up. Yeah, that's not too bad. Mike says he just threw up looking at that. I have a need to come and clean. The difference is, Mike, he's building models on that.
He stings. He stings. David Mummery says, my workbench would be good enough for police 5. I don't know if he means it's forensically it's perfect, or it looks like a crime scene. So we might have to kind of defer on that. Jim Altegott says workbenches can be a mess 1 minute and clear in a few minutes.
That's exactly right. I mean, an hour ago there was some cutting tools, some sanding tools, and some Mr. Surfacer on the bench here with model bits in between it. Before I came on air, it took me 5 minutes to clear it all away and go to that, which was how we'll be when we go to start modelling again. So
I gotta say, I suffer from that strange phenomena that a lot of modelers suffer from, and that is that it's like the center of a workbench has got a greater gravitational mass.
Yes.
So you just end up with a lot of stuff kind of like congregating, and you're working on like a little 5 square inch kind of bit to work on, whilst everything is kind of like heading towards the event horizon of that section of the workbench. So,
and I would also say that, speaking personally for me, this is a very, very big sort of A1 sized cutting mat, on top of which I normally put this to actually build stuff. But they're already getting to the stage where I'm looking at replacing them. They're about 4 or 5 months old, and I really don't like dirty cutting mats anymore.
Well, I've had this one for about a year because it was Russ at Jadlam who pointed me in the direction of these. And despite the fact that, I don't know if you can see, we've had a slight mishap with some Mr. Colour thinner.
Yeah, I mean that's all I've got. A slight mishap with some
bit of super glue there. But when you see some of these,
there's a slight mishap here and stuff. But that just sits off to the side, and I use that for putting brushes on when I'm mixing paint and stuff. So
I've seen people. I know it's their workbench and their rules, but I've seen people trying to cut masking tape on a paint spattered thing like that, and I feel like weeping. So right, let's get back onto some more positive modeling stuff here. Alan Richardson says he says, Drew, I don't know why they're all talking to you, they're not talking to me. I don't know anything. Drew, the new Academy A10C, will you do it as a C if there are parts to do an A, as you are a fan of the Euro 1 paint scheme?
Well, the kit as it's currently, as we've seen the sprues at the moment, is a pure C.
Right.
There's no parts in it for an A. The breakdown clearly indicates that an A is a possibility in due course, but as it comes at the moment, the kit is a pure C. So if I get one and build it immediately, it will be as a C, which isn't really a huge amount of interest to me. I really like the early A's from the early mass 10A schemes through Jaws, through European 1. They're my favourites. So A10As are where it's at for me.
Artie Mod says, JM, I get a question now. He says, JM, any news on producing a modelling annual? Cool idea. Yeah, I'd like to do that, and it's something I'm going to give some serious thought next year to doing a little modelling annual, but with lots of, there will be some modelling content in it, but there'll be some typical 1970s British comic annual kind of like pages. So there will be silly things in there, but I'd like to do that. That is something I'd like to do that. And then Jim says, will you chaps be doing an Xmas Day broadcast? If not, how about an Xmas Eve special broadcast? That would be jolly good fun. Jim, I think Drew and I have discussed the idea of doing a live over the festive holiday period. I think we've called it a festive of modelling, but it won't be Christmas Eve, and it definitely won't be Christmas Day. So
no, because I've been invited to friends for the Christmas period, so I'm off on Christmas Eve. I'll be off and away for a few days anyway. They've threatened to massively overfeed me and ply me with beer. So
not possible.
Which was terribly nice of them, I have to say. My
goodness me, that'll be another massacre of the massacre for the pigs in blankets, won't it?
Well, absolutely, that'll be the plan. That'll be the plan. He did say he'd lay in an ostrich and a buffalo. He's not a small lad either, I have to say. He was my partner in the job and in the police. We were squad mates for quite some time. So
it's a wonder that Drew and I, having very vastly different dietary requirements, is that I do tolerate his tendency to just kind of like wolf down anything that's got legs or feathers.
Having said that, John, I've told you repeatedly whenever I come to see you that just get what you eat and I'll eat it. I don't.
Oh no, yeah. No, you do, and in fact, you have expressed an interest in the past in kind of like
a more vegetarian diet.
A more vegetarian diet.
Not a vegetarian, but a more vegetarian diet. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, you buy ham and stuff whenever I go up and I'm going, John, don't bother. It's not, it doesn't matter. I'll eat what you're eating. It's fine.
I did get some, what did I get? Some, it was Richmond and it was their meat-free slices. Well, I actually had it on the, I'll do this at the any other business at the end, but we had them last night and everybody thought they were delicious. So there we go.
Yeah.
But no, we will be doing a festive of modelling at some stage over the Yuletide holiday, and we'll cook something up, some leftovers probably.
Yes, Mike. Well, the plan is for New Year, Mike. Go up for New Year.
So what's this? Oh,
it's just Mike asking if I was going to Nigel's for New Year, which is a plan. So I'll be going up there.
Jan Volek says, try as I might, I stand up with 2 by 2 inches space for everything gets done. Yep. And Jim says, confession time, your cutting mats looks absolutely pristine compared to mine, Mr. Mann.
Yeah, I see so many like absolutely terrible looking cutting mats. And I've become sort of, the thing is, if you go on Amazon or something, they're so cheap now. they're so cheap. I mean, this big one here, which is, A1 size, so it's absolutely enormous. But that was still only sort of 12 or 13 quid delivered.
I think mine here was £9.50.
Yeah. And this and the A3 one was probably no more than a tenner. They're so cheap now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Robert Johnson says, JM, he says, would like a 32nd scale blue police box like Doctor Who? Would I like one, or is that would I like a model of one, or or is there one out there? Do you know what, Robert? I built a TARDIS, so I've got that out of my blood now. Because I built the big Airfix one, which actually I suppose now that old Davy is coming back to play the Doctor again, I suppose you could kind of you could repop that a bit, with a new figure or something, Oh, I'm looking forward to that, but that's not any other business thing. And yeah, so anyway, my ambulance, we're gonna get on with that, but I just want a bit. Oh, he wants to. Robert would like to send me one. Oh, well, that's very kind of you, Robert. I'll ping you my address at the end of the show. So that's very generous. There we go.
Dave, don't make us responsible for your tardy behaviour.
TARDIS behaviour. TARDIS, yes, very good. Dave Fleming's just arrived.
That's what I said. Don't make us responsible for your tardy behaviour, Dave.
Yeah, he says, just in. Hopefully this one is kept up. Yeah, it will be. Yep. So that's where I am with my project. How are you getting on with your F-16, Drew?
Yeah, it's galloping along at a fair old clip. So, it is like the upper fuselage there's a forward and rear join. But bear with me while I find it. There's a forward and rear to rear join along there, which, as you can see, is pretty good. It's a model with a lot of inserts and stuff in it, and bits that have to be added. Obviously, along this molding here, some of the panel lines are a bit faint because of the angle of the pull and stuff like that. So I've had to go down and rescribe a few lines down here and add some rivet detail back in. But it's it was a 15-20 minute job. But yeah, you can see the actual. There's the forward to rear fuselage join there. And then the lower side, there's a rear part to go in front of the donut panel there. And I put a very slight bevel on the edges of those parts because it's along a panel line. Now, quite often when parts join along a panel line, because they are flat surfaces, you end up with something that doesn't look like a panel. So just adding a bit of a bevel on each edge of that before I glued it means I can just rub a bit of the aforementioned Scotch-Brite over it when it's dry, like so. And that's pretty much it. I can then put a wash in there when it's painted. So we've got half of the intake there. We've started assembling the wheel bays. So that clicks into there like so. This is pretty much identical to the Tamiya kit in assembly of this part. So make of that what you will. And then this perfectly fitting intake that goes in there like so. And it all goes up to make the full length intake ducting, which is pretty nice, I have to say. And you've got a separate air intake lip here that you could probably paint that separately and pop that on. And again, that's a really nice fit with a tiny little bit of adjustment. So then stuff like the multi-part tail, I would say that the insert for this starboard side of the vertical tail, if you're building this kit, you might want to check out and sand that a little bit, because what I've ended up with is some gaps where the fin cap goes on, or not gaps but steps, which you can see there as it catches the light. That's down to me not checking this and before I glued it. It's nothing to do with well, it is to do with the kit, but it's very, very easily solved, shall we say. And also, I would recommend adding each side of the fin base, front and rear, glue those together before you actually glue the two halves together. That'll give you a chance to sort this, make sure that this is perfectly aligned along the join there, which I did on the. I just built the F16C one up just because it's in the kit, and I just want to see how it went together. And by doing that, gluing each forward and rear half together before adding the two halves, it means that the join line there is pretty much perfect. So, like I say, with a little rub over with Scotch Brite, that's you ready to move on. So that goes into the, that will locate in there like so. So you can see that, you know, we're talking about a really, really nice fit overall for this. And things like there's the exhaust nozzle is in 5 parts, which means that you've got to be pretty careful gluing it together, and then making sure that it's all level and circular as well, because that wasn't circular when I started. So, and that goes in there like so. So it's open nozzle. So yeah, overall, it's.
I suppose you can also paint those separately, and then get some nice, interesting metallic effects on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's actually quite nice. I quite like the way that is done. So you can actually do that entirely separately, and then just drop it into the donut panel later, like so. So yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with that. That's the interior straight from the cockpit tub, straight from the kit, which I'm slowly working through painting. Little focus. So yeah,
never have any focus.
Hey,
I said I never have any focus.
No, we don't have any focus at the moment, do we? Nope. But yeah, it's inevitably this kit is going to be compared to the Tamiya kit, and it's not the Tamiya kit. It's still not quite as refined, but when you bear in mind that it's really, really nice and will be my even over and above the Tamiya kit. This will probably be my default F16 going forward. I've got the actual. I did order the F16C last week, so I've got one of those en route as well. And yeah, as Jan says there, Res Kit will make a beautiful nozzle for this very soon. Yes, they will. And as we know from my eulogizing, that's the wrong thing to say, isn't it? On Res Kit last week, if they did, I would highly recommend getting it. There's no, but having said that, the parts in the kit are very nicely done. You're going to get a very nice kit straight from the box here. You just might want to dress it up a little bit with some aftermarket stuff. I will say one thing I'm really not impressed with on this model is the thing that some of the stores, like so many different parts, and they are pretty. To my mind, they're pretty catastrophic. I don't like them at all. Right. I really, this is a really poorly thought out set of stores, specifically the Sidewinders, I have to say, which is a shame, as you know, the Sidewinder is pretty much synonymous with the aircraft, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, the extreme breakdown of these parts, like there's like an entire middle section here which is separate, and you add the front and the rear to it, and as you can see there, even mine is not a bit wibbly wobbly. Straight. Yeah, a bit wibbly wobbly. So anyway, as we've been discussing, I went on to the Hannants website this week, and I now have some Res Kit AIM 9Xs and AIM 120s en route. So yeah, they're pretty catastrophic, I have to say. I'm not impressed with them at all.
Swings and roundabouts.
I think it's one area where they have really dropped the ball. And as Richard says there, yeah, he's done some very, very beautiful looking AIM-9Xs as well in his flight line resin range, which I believe you can get through Phase Hanger, Mike. So I would like some of those at some point as well.
Oh God, he's on the shill already. I can't believe it.
Well, no, because I'm talking to Mike.
What unbelievable! Unbelievable. Huh?
Well, I can get stuff anyway because I'm now producing for Mike.
Anyway,
I'm now designing, darling. So what it comes down to is that I'm really not impressed with these with the sidewinders in this kit, but there are so many different options out there. Brass in, flight line, res kit. There are plenty of options out there for other sidewinders.
Let's catch up on some comments here. Artie Mod says, JM and Drew, do you have a favourite current modelling magazine and why? I like the current column in Model Airplane International. Oh God, honestly. I don't know.
Stop crawling. Oh,
I know. Do I have do you know what? To be honest with you, I still think Tamiya magazine has a good mix of articles and kind of actual modelling talent.
Bluntly, I don't look at magazines anymore. I
don't either.
I haven't bought a modelling magazine since probably 2013 or 2014.
They ceased to be. I'm going to choose my words here carefully, otherwise somebody's going to be saying, "Oh, JM said this about model magazines." They ceased to be a focus of my modelling world. This is going back about 20 years ago. I stopped buying fine scale, which years ago would have been unthinkable for me.
Thing was, fine scale modeler is cyclic. It goes through. It's got like a 5 or 6 year cycle.
Yeah.
When it goes back to the beginning, in terms of articles and stuff like that. So if you've got 5 or 6 years worth of it, you've probably got, apart from new articles and stuff, and new kits and stuff, you've probably got what you're going to get from it. Which, because it's aimed at a certain sector of the market. I can remember my unbelievable excitement when I found out that it was in 1986 when it started being imported into the UK properly. And I was I thought it was the most amazing thing I'd ever, the most amazing magazine I'd ever read. Other than that, these days, it's because we've all got a lot of friends who write for these magazines, so you find yourself being careful not to sound like you're putting them down. But I tended to find they became more extended review magazines than hobby magazines.
Yeah, we could fall down that rabbit hole of talking about magazines and the things. Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. There's a topic of discussion to be discussion to be had there, and it is a valid and a constructive topic of conversation. So it's not going to be kind of like, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that. There are little things that I think could be improved across the board in model magazines. So people are going to say, "Oh God, now JM thinks he's the expert on model magazines." Anyway.
Well, it's a subjective thing, isn't it? And we're trying to give our subjective opinions for that is what they are, without sounding, like we're gratuitously dumping on them, because we don't tend to buy them anymore. But we kind of. we have our own media empire. But we the kind of things we do. I've written for magazines in the past, and I don't anymore for various reasons. But this as an outlet is plenty enough for what I want to share.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Ben Brown says, Merry Christmas from all at the Sywell Aviation Museum. Well, Ben, that's very kind of you. Here is a gratuitous plug for sywellaviationmuseum.org.uk. There we go. Does actually
very grateful.
Yeah, well, actually, well, hang about. That's not the only gratuitous plug for them, because I was looking at their website. There we go, and it does look like an interesting little museum. They've got chipmunk experience. Who doesn't like chipmunks? I love them. Absolutely love them. Oops, Daisy.
First airplane I ever flew in.
Yeah. What have they got? Exhibits. They've got the American Hall. They've got a Norton B-17. Let's have a look. Norton B-17. Oh no, we haven't got a photograph there. There we go. That's the right. Okay, missing some images there. Let's have a look. Exhibits. There we go. This is some artifacts to do with the Blakely B-17. It looks like a tidy little museum, and I'm just trying to think. It's in Northamptonshire, so that's a bit of a fair old trek from here. But I don't know. I actually think, Drew, 2023. I think that should be our year of doing a quarterly visit to a museum of sorts.
A museum.
Do 4 museum visit next year, because I'd still like to go to oh blimey, Baggington in Coventry.
All right. Yeah.
East Midlands. Is it East Midlands? Yeah. Or the West Midlands Aero Museum. That's a good one.
Coventry.
Yeah. And I'd still like to have a trip back down to, or back sideways to Middle Wallop.
Yeah, Middle Wallop's nice.
Yeah,
good little
very good cafe there. Of course, there's
Dave Fleming there. I stopped buying when they started publishing articles saying things like, "We don't care about accuracy." Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And Dave Fleming also says Newark. Yeah, I do need to go to Newark, because I've been supporting them since the COVID thing came up. Became a follower, supporter of them, and yeah, that's a tiny little museum. That yeah, I think we need to kind of like get out there and do some museum visits. I think that'll be good fun. Right,
Nick Brown there saying, I remember seeing a magazine in my local shop which I never saw again, quarter scale models. Yeah, I mean, in many ways, that's kind of emblematic of the issue with the magazine scene these days. That so many magazines pop up for an issue or two, and then promptly disappear again.
Wasn't that Neil Robinson, quarter scale modeler? I think it was.
Yeah, possibly.
I think it was Neil Robinson.
But over the last, I mean, certainly over the last 10, 12 years in the UK specifically, there's just been so many magazines pop up, disappear, get reborn, change ownership, and it just becomes, I couldn't even tell you who what magazines are on the market now, because I don't keep up with it.
There we go. Good one from James Ray there. He says, for armour, Cobberton in North Devon.
Yes, I've been there. Yeah.
Whereabouts is that then?
Cobberton,
obviously.
Yeah, I went with Cobberton. I went with a friend who knew where it was.
Okay. Well, it's North Devon, so it's not massively out of the way. No. So, yeah. Well, always up for a trip down to, not always up to a trip to North Devon. And Mark Bland says,
loss.
I'm up for it. I'm certainly up for that. So anyway, and Neil, there we go. Dave has clarified. He says QSM merged with 72nd Scale, that then got parked when Neil became Sam editor. So there we go.
There you go. Now we know.
Now we know. Right, just going to go and get a. Steve has sent us another picture of his tidied workshop. So I did a time-lapse film a few years ago of me clearing my work, but here we go. Look, here we go. That is incroyable, Steve. Open image in new window. Steve really has got a wiggle on, and yeah, he's done the business here. So, I wish they'd make this easier to share screens, but there we go. Chrome tab. There we go. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. So there's Steve's new improved.
That's better.
That's yeah.
There's space in the front now, isn't there? You can do, there's space to do something. And,
yep.
And a griffin there.
Very nice griffin, yeah. So yeah, and he's got everything kind of. He's got boxes for things to go in. I think that's really important. So that looks like a really quite a well thought out, tidy workbench. God, this is going to be like Tony Hart here now. It's like, and now here are pictures of your workbenches.
I always enjoy seeing that, actually, seeing how people, the spaces people work in. I think it's always good to see how other people are working.
Yes, quite possibly, until it's the ones that have the filthy overflowing ashtrays.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying it's it's just because quite often people do stuff that makes you go, oh, I hadn't thought of doing something that way, and it's a good idea that just hadn't occurred to you.
Glenn Broman says, I have a nice museum about 20 minutes away, Selfridge Field, one of the oldest in the US. A fun day visit. They even have a running Sherman I've taken a spin in. Tell you what, Glenn, next time you're there, take some photographs and share them to our page. I think we'd like to see that. That sounds like a fun place. I mean,
it's funny that even where I am, as the crow flies, 4 miles one way is the Fleet Air Arm Museum, which is one of the best aviation museums in Europe. Half an hour the other way is Bovington, which is one of the world's premier armour museums. And, not 20 minutes away is the Haynes Motor Museum, which is, again, it's a really, phenomenally well done museum. It's Somerset is quite a little. And
you know what we say? We say Somerset is fast becoming the modelling hub of Great Britain, but it's got a good concentration in museums as well. Plus, we've got the helicopter museum.
Yeah,
Western
Superman. That's a great museum.
Let's have a look. There was a comment here, and I think this will be the last ones for tonight. Steve Moore says, another plug, if I may. East Kent Model Club meeting this Tuesday at RAF Manston History Museum, 1930 hours. Yep. That's
consider it plugged.
Yeah, consider it plugged.
If anybody's in the area, pop along, talk models for an hour or two.
Yeah, and John and Lynn say Pam News. Yeah, that was Pam News back in the 70s, and then it became PAMAG in the 1990s, 80s and 90s. That was Ron Firth, lovely guy. Yeah, miss him greatly. Lovely bloke. Yep. Right. Well, that's. And Mike says I have a little museum called Pima, about 1.5 hours from me. Jolly good. Further for me, but yeah. Again, Mike,
by little he means it's about 15 square miles.
Yes. Go and get some photographs and share them with us. Right. Oh, that was useless. Let's try that again.
That was a bit half-aid.
That was.
There we go. That's much better.
There we go. Any other business?
Not from me, no. I actually break up for the Christmas holidays on Tuesday night. So once I've got Tuesday night out the way at work, that's me done until January the 3rd, something like that. So,
okay.
Hoping to get some industrial scale modelling done in the holidays.
Well, funny you say that because of the wonderful things he does. Let's have a look at the old. Try not to do Terry Wogan there. Sorry. Just let's have a look at the old. Yeah, I know. Let's have a look at the old calendar here. Avante. And right, let's have a look. Right, so So essentially, we've got 3 slots left for live shows in the next 2 weeks or so, because it'll be Christmas Day in 2 weeks today. What a terrifying thought that is. So that'll be the Wednesday the 14th, Sunday the 18th, and Wednesday the 21st, the shortest day. And then well, obviously we won't be doing a show on Christmas Day, but then we'll try and contrive an interesting modelling company festive of modelling over the Yuletide period. So that's pretty much the plan, folks.
Jadlam excursion?
Well, yes, I'm trying to work that in at the moment, but from here until next Sunday, my days run out very quickly now, because I'm hoping to factor a trip down to Devon. I'm hoping to factor a trip to well, I'm going to Glastonbury, but I'm going to Glastonbury with friends, as opposed to you.
Well, yeah, yeah. Wouldn't expect anything less.
Well, Wells and Glastonbury. I need to go to Frome. So that's 3 days taken care of. That three days out of a possible 10 have all been eaten up now. So I need to work out some kind of like some logistics here. It's just as much as I like December, it just suddenly all goes crazy about this time of year again. So,
well, it's because it's Christmas.
It is Christmas. I know it's Christmas because I went. Talk about a glutton in every sense of the phrase. I went to 2 carol services today, and no sooner had I wiped the crumbs from the mince pie at All Saints Church in Clevedon, I then no sooner as I wiped the crumb from St Michael's Church in Clapton Ingledano. In fact, I'm going to put a photograph up for you to all see it. I then hot-tailed it over to All Saints Church in Clevedon, in Swiss Valley, Clevedon. So I had 2 very good carol services tonight, and yes, and I had tea and mince pies.
Do you know what? I've had 1 mince pie this year.
I've had a couple. I've had a couple.
That clearly needs to be addressed quite soon.
Well, I've also got. I did also get some Eckelfecken tarts from the Edinburgh, one of the few remaining Edinburgh Wool Mill shops that's still open. And this was when I was down in Taunton on Saturday. It was a right old tour. Tour to Somerset on Saturday, but we were in Taunton, and we went on the West Somerset Railway for the Winter Wonderlights event, which was very nice, very festive. But I went into Edinburgh Wool Mill and I got some Eckelfecken tarts, which are absolutely joyous things of wonder. So I'm just see if I can present you with this photograph that I've got here. Can we do it? Chrome tab not letting me do it. Here we go. So this is St Michael's Church in Clapton Ingledano, and it's a teeny weeny little church. It honestly is. There we go, and there we go. You can see that now, can't we? It's tiny. It's very, very small. But anyway, they do very good tea and mince pies, and like I say, as soon as I'd wiped the crumbs from my mouth, I hot-tailed it over to All Saints in Clevedon for more of the same. So, and Mike Reeves says, I tried a mince pie you sent me yesterday. Very nice. Is that the first, Mike? Is that the first time you've ever had a mince pie?
Unbelievable.
I know. Well, Dave says the things people will do for a free mince pie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, damn right. I'm not going to naysay that. Absolutely. But yeah, Eckelfecken tarts, lovely. But yeah, sorry, just to kind of like wrap this tedious story up. Mike's saying, yes, that's the first time he's ever had a mince pie. Unbelievable.
Well,
God, just shocking.
Don't know what to say,
Revelation
really,
there.
do you?
Yeah.
Don't know
We went to Bishop's Lydeard yesterday from Taunton, and I tell you what, the fields around the hills around outside Taunton were pretty much festooned with snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
in fact,
cold
when
out.
we were, and then from Bishop's Lydeard, we went down to Crocombe Heathfield because that's how far the train went. But all the fields around there were covered in snow. And in fact, up on Porlock Hill and out towards County Gate and Contersbury, quite thick snow there at the moment, which is a bit of a worry because that's where I'm going to be heading either this week or next week. So
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. I go on a bit there.
You do. Yeah. I was a bit.
Am I boring you? Right. Yes. On that. Right. All right. On that note, we will. I'm paying for the hosting for the show, but I'm not allowed to have my any other business. You had an opportunity for some any other business. You went no, so
get on with it.
And then you're there going boring. Get on with it. So Anyway, we'll be back on Wednesday. Apparently, well, I might be. I don't know about him. I'm fed up with him now. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'd have made it all up. Don't worry.
The banter people come for anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We're back on Wednesday. In the meantime, as always, we urgently request you all out there to stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. So, bye for now. Tries to find end titles, can't find it.